I've recruited a kid once here about 10 years ago, but other than that, I haven't spent a lot of time in Western Kentucky. But know Mike Sanford from over the years, and kind of being a coach's son and having a coaching father, and just have crossed paths a bunch, and to have the opportunity to work with him, I'm looking forward to that. I think he's a sharp guy, sharp mind, and I think he's going to be an excellent head coach here. Looking forward to working with Coach Adams and Coach Sanford on this Boise State, and so we're going to run this Boise State offense. So I'm looking forward to learning that and seeing how that goes. But the people I do know, every time they talk about Western Kentucky facilities, players, what they've done, what they've accomplished, where they're going, bowl games they're playing in, it's just a special place. So to have the opportunity to be here and coach quarterbacks, I'm pretty excited about it. And coach has assembled a good staff, got great people, offense, defense, strength coach coming in. So we got all the parts ready to get moving. These next couple weeks will be pretty critical recruiting and putting together this class and the future of this program. But it's fun recruiting kids. You talk to young men, and the guys we're recruiting are good players. They really are. And they're excited about getting up here and seeing the place. We took a tour of campus yesterday and was really impressed with some of the facilities and some of the buildings, and our offices and meeting room and locker room and weight room are as good as I've seen. So excited to be here, and think we've got every reason in the world to continue the success they've had in this program and improve upon that.
Up and down the hill, okay?
Up and down the hill, yeah, we circled around pretty good. We had a couple guys that struggled, but most of them did pretty well.
What do you like about this chance to be an assistant head coach?
And coaching quarterbacks. My history mostly has been with receivers. I've had some co-OC titles, and I've called plays for a few years. But to actually have the title of quarterback coach and be able to meet with those guys and coach those guys, and that's a pretty important role in any offense, I would imagine. And I appreciate Coach Sanford and really Coach Adams for trusting me with that position.
What do you think you can offer to quarterbacks from your experience?
Hopefully a lot. I tell you, I had a great year last year with Lincoln Riley and Baker Mayfield, and about the entire year at Oklahoma I spent with those guys and offensively. And Lincoln Riley's a really sharp guy, and what he teaches and how he teaches it was a little different than some of my experiences at South Carolina with my father. Baker Mayfield's a special guy. How he learns, how he comes to work, the standard that he puts upon himself, I thought was really kind of neat to be around. He's a special player. And then just history, background at South Carolina, Florida, where I've been. I think I've got a lot to offer, and we've talked about a little bit offensively what we're going to try to do, and cross pass a little bit, and obviously we'll get through recruiting and get our books out and really start putting it in. But looking forward to getting out there and getting out there with Mike. Mike's an excellent player. The sports information director at Oklahoma, he said, "Is that quarterback still out there?" He said, "Because every week when I chart all the stats for Baker," he said, "Mike White was right behind him in 3 or 4 different categories." So he's had an excellent year. He's an excellent player. He's got an excellent future. I talked to him a little bit about how many coaches he's had, how many offenses he's had. And he said, "I'm kind of excited to learn a new one. It can only add to my ability and what I'm capable of doing going forward." So he's excited, and look forward to getting him up here and getting him started. Yes, sir.
Coach, about Mike, just your gut feeling, your first impression, and first impressions are so important. After meeting Mike and talking with him, did you walk away from that conversation saying, "I like this guy,
Well, clearly, just watching him play, you like the guy and reading about him. I've not met him yet, and I think there is something to shaking a guy's hand and looking him in the eye and start talking to him. Talked to him on the phone a few times. He's down in Florida. But what's your background? Where have you been? What offenses have you been in? And he could explain all of it. He said, "My first coach was this. This is what we did. This kind of offense we ran." He went through a few formations and plays on the first scat, named all kind of stuff off to me. So you can tell he's a sharp guy, and he knows his stuff. He's got a good personality. He's outgoing, asks questions. So I am looking forward to meeting him and handing him this book and start getting moving forward with this offense. But good player, obviously, and he's got a bright future here and past here. And, we look forward to helping him advance all those goals he has.
Coach, have you found that your name has helped in the recruiting area, and also do you think you could use that to help WKU recruiting?
I hope so. I think that helped me get the job. But clearly, when you call a parent and you tell them that you're Coach Spurrier, they kind of listen at you funny for a little bit, and then you kind of have to explain from there. But yeah, even going into high schools, when you go into high school, and the amount of times I'll tell somebody, who's here, and Coach Spurrier's here, and they look at me funny, and then the coach will look at me funny. They're like, "Now who's here?" "Some Coach Spurrier Jr. ain't come." But yeah, that definitely gets you in the door, and people know who you are, and they'll listen to you. And and hopefully I can bring a lot, and hopefully name recognition can get some ball players here and just make as much noise as we can here.
Snowballing on that, I'm sure you spent a lot of time with your dad coaching.
Yeah.
And you have a favorite moment or maybe a defining moment?
I'll meet you afterwards. I'll talk to you about 4 hours. No, we have a bunch. I have so many good memories with him. My first years being a GA at Florida, which were neat. From there to be able to go to Oklahoma with Bob Stoops, and Bob and my father are still really close. To be back with him at the Washington Redskins. I went to Arizona a year with Mike Stoops, and then the 11 years at South Carolina were really a fun ride and a neat opportunity, some of the things we did there. But yeah, I got a ton of stories to just being with him, and it was hard to leave. It was hard to leave him. We had a lot going on. It was a great place, and he's a great person to work for, so yeah, it's been good.
Is he going to be coming around here, Eddie?
He'll be here. I've already had 2 or 3 different people tell me the best golf courses around, so he'll bring his sticks up when it gets a little warmer. He'll come up for spring ball day. He'll probably speak at a clinic. So yeah, I'll make sure he's involved as much as he can be.
How valuable is that for you to have someone like him with this sort of experience to bounce ideas off of, to be a sounding board?
He's not a sounding board. He doesn't want to sit down and draw up plays and talk about this move or that move. But just the people I've met, to people I know at Oklahoma, Coach Stoops, talked to him for a good bit last night. Lincoln Riley, still, he likes talking about different things, and I spent a long time in New Orleans talking to him, just recruiting, the different things that are happening now, different things in social media, different personnel, people that work in departments of recruiting and social media and director of player personnel. So, no, I've crossed paths with a lot of people that kind of can grasp the future of this game. And you watch those 2 teams last night, and what Clemson and Alabama have in common is both of them run as good a recruiting department as there is in the country. And we won't, get near that, but clearly the game of college football has moved into how are we going to most efficiently and best recruit football players here. That's how we're going to win games. And it's changed so much in 3 years than it was 15, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. You recruited seniors. Now you're recruiting 9th graders, you're recruiting 10th graders, you're in schools. There's just so much more reach in social media and Facebook and Instagram that you've got to do that. So the game's changed, and I've been around a lot of good people that have kept up with that. And Coach Sanford obviously is a young coach too. He's sharp, and he knows how to best reach everyone.
Coach,
yes, sir.
is that a big part of what you learned the most during your time under Bob at Oklahoma?
Last year probably, being with Lincoln Riley. But Coach Stoops he knows what he's doing. He's got a snowball effect of just being a great head coach there. They've got great players. They've got great assistant coaches. They've got a great strength coach. They've got great organization. They're building a new facility that's going to open this year that's pretty amazing. But yeah, no, the younger guys today are the ones that really grasp all that true recruiting, true social media, true reach. And there's a lot going on out there. But to be with Coach Stoops and that staff, and brother Mike Stoops, all those guys are, I had a great year being around those people, to go to the games we went to and play in the stadiums we played, the teams we played against, to be at that Sugar Bowl for a week against Auburn and really play well against them. Yeah, that was a pretty neat experience, to say the least.
How would you describe the Boise State offense? What would you call it?
I can't tell you a lot about it right now. Obviously, it's personnel driven, so we're going to find out who our best players are now, who the people are we recruit that can best help us offensively. Obviously, your best playmakers are going to find a way to get the ball in their hands. I'm still learning personnel, how much shotgun versus under center, how much attached tight end versus unattached, how much true downhill running game versus kind of quarterback running game. I don't believe there's a lot of QB running game. There's a lot of formations, a lot of action. It's a tight end. They like to have good tight ends in this system that can do a bunch of different things. And we'll see where we are going into spring and next fall as to how many tight ends we actually use. But they like to use a lot of different personnels. They want to throw the ball. We're going to throw it. We're going to throw it down the field. We'll have some screens we throw a little bit. We'll have some base running plays that are, the zone and the power, and a couple gap schemes that are very prevalent in the NFL. So when we get running backs, we're going to run the ball and we're going to throw it to you. But we'll put an offense out there that best meets the skill set we have, and we've got some pretty good players here, really do.
You more a ball cap guy or a visor?
I'm a cap guy, and I almost did that on purpose just so people wouldn't accuse me of looking exactly like my dad. So I've always, now if I play golf, I'll wear a visor if it's hot, but on the field, on camp, so I'm a ball cap guy.
Coach, obviously, I know you get asked about your dad a lot, but obviously, what I congratulate you on coming in, I would be remiss without asking you about your reaction to your dad becoming the Hall of Fame.
Similar to the last 10 honors he's won. And now the naming of Florida Field, I thought was a neat recognition, because that's forever. And I mean, anytime you go near that stadium, that stamp is that doesn't happen very often. You know, there's a lot of people that will get into the Hall of Fame, and obviously that's a select few as well. But to actually put your name on a stadium was one of the biggest honors I've seen him receive. But to be in the Hall of Fame, you know, he was at the Chick-fil-A Hall of Fame. Actually, in the Sugar Bowl, I opened up the media guide, and on page 47, there's a big spread on him as one of the 3 or 4 people that coached in the game and played in it. And he was the MVP in the 1965 Sugar Bowl. I think they lost the game. And I was reading up on that. So, no, he's definitely had a pretty good print on college football as a player and a coach. And he may not be done receiving honors. Are there any left out there who hadn't won? I don't know yet. But he'll go down as one of, you know, the greatest to ever coach the game. And one of the things that partially kind of ran him out was the people that like to recruit 9th graders all the time. He said, yeah, I'm not recruiting 9th graders all day long. I'm not going to be here in 5-6 years. So, but he had a heck of a run, and what he's done and where he's done it has been amazing. And I'm kind of blessed to have had an opportunity to be a part of that. Really am.
What do you like most about coaching?
And, you know, there's so many things. To be a college football coach is a special opportunity. But to have an opportunity to work with young men, to watch them develop, especially in college. I had an opportunity to work in the NFL a couple years, which is kind of a different environment. But to be able to recruit guys, to be able to recruit families, to bring them to a college, to really watch them go from a boy to a man, watch them get a degree, watch them, you know, develop so much on and off the field. The thrill of victory and you know, the agony of defeat. And there's something really in that. And as much time as you put in, as much effort and as much work to be able to get on the field and achieve things is a remarkable accomplishment for so many young men. So that's a very rewarding aspect for me. My kids love it. My family loves being able to travel and go to games and put shirts on and be part of a team. Something about being part of a team that's really hard to beat for everybody.
Can I ask one more?
Yes, sir.
It's kind of what you touched on with your family. My friends who are coaches that have a lot of kids in their family, they told me that actually makes them a better coach.
Probably, because you realize how important your relationship is to young men. And when you're a parent, and I talked to somebody the other day, I said, my kids, I have triplets that are 16. I said, my kids are getting to that age where some of their goals and ambitions and what they want to do in life becomes almost a little more important than your own. And when you reach that, you realize the impact you have on your own children. And it's the same in recruiting and when you coach players. The impact you have on these guys and what they become in life becomes pretty important to you. And you want to see guys succeed, you want to see them do well, and you want to see them get their degree. And, you know, like a lot of people say, how is this recruiting class? Well, I'll tell you in 15, 20 years. You know, I'll tell you what kind of young men these are, what they've achieved in life, and what they've become will be my mark of how good a group this is. So, yeah, certainly a special opportunity there.
Anything else, Coach? Coach Singh.